Have you ever wondered what truly gives life purpose, especially when faced with unimaginable suffering? What if the answer lies not in external circumstances, but in our inner freedom to choose our attitude? Today, we embark on a profound journey into the heart of human resilience, a journey that will redefine your understanding of meaning. Welcome to Visual Books. Today, we are exploring Man's Search for Meaning by Victor Frankl, a book born from the fires of the Holocaust, a testament to the enduring human spirit, and a foundational text for logotherapy. Frankl, a psychiatrist, was imprisoned in Nazi concentration camps, and in this powerful work, he doesn't just recount his experiences, he dissects them, extracting timeless lessons about life, suffering, and the relentless search for meaning. Let's dive in, chapter by chapter, and uncover the profound wisdom within. Chapter 1, Experiences in a Concentration Camp, the first phase, the shock of arrival. This opening chapter plunges us directly into the horrifying reality of the concentration camps. Frankl details the initial shock and disbelief, the dehumanization that begins the moment prisoners arrive. They are stripped of their possessions, their identities, even their hair. The core concept here is the abrupt loss of everything that defines a person's external life. The key examples are vivid: the cattle cars, the selection process, the agonizing uncertainty. The actionable advice, though implicitly learned through observation, is about the immediate need to adapt, to shed the past and focus on survival, however grim. It's a stark lesson in the fragility of our external realities. Chapter 2, Experiences in a Concentration Camp, the second phase, the routine of the camp. Here, Frankl describes the monotonous, soul-crushing routine that settles in after the initial shock. Life becomes a perpetual state of hunger, cold, and exhaustion. The core concept is the psychological impact of constant deprivation and the loss of all social order. Frankl observes how prisoners begin to resemble their captors in their gruffness and self-preservation. The key examples are the meager rations, the back-breaking labor, the constant threat of death, and the erosion of human empathy. The actionable advice, subtler still, is about the necessity of finding small pockets of internal life, a treasured memory, a brief moment of camaraderie, to retain a sliver of humanity. It's about learning to endure the unbearable through sheer, unyielding will. Chapter 3, Experiences in a Concentration Camp, the third phase, the aftermath of liberation. This chapter shifts to the period immediately following liberation. Frankl explains that freedom doesn't automatically bring happiness. Instead, many former prisoners experience a profound sense of emptiness and disillusionment. The core concept is the difficulty of reintegrating into a world that has moved on, and the psychological trauma that lingers long after the physical chains are broken. The key examples are the prisoner's dazed state, their difficulty in reconnecting with loved ones, and the overwhelming sense of having nothing left to lose, which can be both liberating and terrifying. The actionable advice here is about the slow, arduous process of healing, the need for psychological support, and the realization that true freedom is an internal state. Chapter 4, Experiences in a Concentration Camp, the Syndrome of the Concentration Camp Prisoner. Frankl delves into the specific psychological effects of prolonged suffering in the camps. He coins the term concentration camp neurosis to describe the symptoms experienced by many survivors. The core concept is the impact of extreme stress on the human psyche, the blunted emotions, the heightened irritability, and the difficulty in experiencing joy. The key examples are the prisoner's apathy, their obsession with food, and their tendency to dwell on past grievances. The actionable advice is crucial, understanding these psychological responses as natural reactions to abnormal circumstances, and recognizing that healing is a process that requires patience and self-compassion. It's about acknowledging the wounds, not denying them. Chapter 5, Experiences in a Concentration Camp, the first excursion into the land of the living. In this chapter, Frankl reflects on his return to his former life and his attempts to reconnect with the world. The core concept is the profound sense of alienation that can occur when one has undergone such a transformative, traumatic experience. The key examples are the mundane concerns of ordinary life seeming trivial, and the feeling of being an outsider even among familiar faces. The actionable advice emerges from this disorientation, the need to find new meaning in a changed world, to rebuild one's life with a renewed appreciation for simple things, and to recognize that the past, however painful, has shaped you into who you are now. Chapter 6: Experiences in a Concentration Camp, the Experiences of the Soul. This chapter moves beyond the purely psychological to explore the spiritual dimension of survival. Frankl emphasizes that even in the depths of despair, the human soul can remain untouched. The core concept is the existence of an inner freedom, the ability to choose one's attitude and find meaning, regardless of external circumstances. The key examples are the prisoners who maintained their dignity and inner strength, finding solace in art, music, or their philosophical beliefs. The actionable advice is profound: the ultimate freedom we possess is the freedom to choose how we respond to suffering. This is the bedrock of Frankl's logotherapy. Chapter 7: Experiences in a Concentration Camp, the Meaning of Suffering. This is perhaps the most pivotal chapter of the first part. Frankl argues that suffering itself can have meaning. He states that the question is not what we expect from life, but what life expects from us. The core concept is that suffering is an inevitable part of the human condition, and its meaning lies in our attitude towards it. The key examples are Frankl's own reflections on the loss of his family and his dedication to his work as a way to honor their memory. The actionable advice is transformative: instead of asking "why me?" we should ask "what is life asking of me now?" We can find meaning in our suffering by choosing to bear it with courage and dignity. Chapter 8: Experiences in a Concentration Camp, the Pathos of Love. Frankl highlights the power of love as a source of meaning and strength. He explains that love can transcend physical presence and even death, providing a connection that sustains the spirit. The core concept is that love is an ultimate goal, and by loving, we can reach towards spiritual fulfillment. The key examples are his memories of his wife, which gave him the strength to survive, and his belief that she was waiting for him. The actionable advice is to cherish and nurture our connections with others, recognizing that love offers a unique and powerful pathway to meaning, even in the darkest times. Chapter 9: Experiences in a Concentration Camp, the Spiritual Side of Man. Here, Frankl elaborates on the spiritual aspect of human existence, arguing that it is what distinguishes us from mere biological beings. He emphasizes our capacity for hope, for purpose, and for transcendence. The core concept is that humans are not simply products of their environment, but are beings with a spiritual dimension that can enable them to rise above their circumstances. The key examples are the prisoners who found solace in prayer or philosophical contemplation, and those who maintained a sense of inner freedom. The actionable advice is to cultivate our inner lives, to connect with something larger than ourselves, and to recognize our inherent spiritual capacity. Chapter 10: Experiences in a Concentration Camp, the Inner Freedom. This chapter brings together many of the themes discussed previously, focusing on the concept of inner freedom. Frankl reiterates that while external circumstances can be controlled, our internal response is always within our power. The core concept is that true freedom is not the absence of external constraints, but the ability to choose our attitude and our response to life's challenges. The key examples are numerous: the prisoners who maintained their moral compass, the individuals who found dignity in their suffering, and the profound realization that no one can take away our inner freedom. The actionable advice is to consciously exercise this inner freedom, to choose our reactions, and to take responsibility for our attitudes, even when faced with immense hardship. Now, we transition to the second part of the book, where Frankl elaborates on the principles of logotherapy. Chapter 11: Logotherapy in a Nutshell. This chapter introduces the fundamental principles of logotherapy, Frankl's school of psychotherapy. The core concept is that the primary motivational force in human beings is the search for meaning in their lives. Unlike other psychotherapies that focus on the past or present, logotherapy is future-oriented, focusing on what the individual can achieve and become. The key examples are Frankl's own experiences as a therapist, observing patients who were struggling with a sense of meaninglessness. The actionable advice is to recognize that everyone has a unique meaning to fulfill, and that the therapist's role is to help the patient discover and realize it. Chapter 12, The Basic Tenets of Logotherapy. Here, Frankl outlines the foundational beliefs of logotherapy. He emphasizes three key concepts. First, that life has meaning under all circumstances, even the most miserable ones. Second, that the will to meaning is the primary motivational force. And third, that humans are capable of choosing their own attitudes and finding meaning even in suffering. The core concept is the inherent meaning in human existence and our capacity to find it. The key examples are the various ways individuals can find meaning: through creative work, through experiencing something or encountering someone, and through the attitude we take toward unavoidable suffering. The actionable advice is to actively engage in the search for meaning, to recognize our responsibility in creating it, and to understand that meaning is not given, but discovered and actualized. Chapter 13, The Will to Meaning. This chapter delves deeper into that will to meaning as the driving force behind human behavior. Frankl contrasts this with Freud's will to pleasure and Adler's will to power, arguing that the search for meaning is more fundamental. The core concept is that a lack of meaning leads to psychological distress and what Frankl terms the existential vacuum. The key examples are individuals who are bored, apathetic, or engage in unhealthy behaviors as a way to fill this void. The actionable advice is to identify what truly matters to you, to set goals that are aligned with your values, and to actively pursue endeavors that give your life a sense of purpose. It's about moving beyond mere existence to a life of significance. Chapter 14, The Meaning of Life. Frankl asserts that life's meaning is not static but is unique to each individual and changes over time. He explains that meaning can be found in three main avenues: through creating a work or doing a deed, through experiencing something or encountering someone, and through the attitude we take toward unavoidable suffering. The core concept is that meaning is not abstract but concrete, and it is found in the actions we take and the way we engage with the world. The key examples are the numerous ways people find meaning, from artistic creation to deep relationships to courageous resilience in the face of adversity. The actionable advice is to be open to discovering meaning in all aspects of life, to embrace our unique responsibilities, and to recognize that even seemingly small actions can contribute to a larger tapestry of meaning. Chapter 15, Meaning in Suffering. This chapter revisits the profound idea that suffering can have meaning. Frankl emphasizes that we cannot avoid suffering entirely, but we can choose how we respond to it. The core concept is that suffering can be an opportunity for growth and for the discovery of deeper meaning. The key examples are individuals who, despite immense hardship, have found dignity, courage, and even a sense of purpose in their struggles. The actionable advice is to reframe our perspective on suffering, not as a punishment or an injustice, but as a challenge that can forge our character and reveal our inner strength. It's about transforming suffering from a passive burden into an active engagement with life's toughest lessons. Chapter 16, The Existential Vacuum. Frankl describes the existential vacuum as a pervasive feeling of emptiness and meaninglessness that is increasingly prevalent in modern society. This vacuum arises when individuals lack a sense of purpose or direction. The core concept is that the absence of meaning can lead to boredom, apathy, and even despair, contributing to various psychological and social problems. The key examples are the rise of consumerism, superficial entertainment, and the widespread feeling of "what's the point?" The actionable advice is to confront this vacuum directly, to actively seek out and create meaning in your life through work, love, and courageous attitudes, and to recognize that filling this vacuum requires conscious effort and commitment. Chapter 17, The Philosophical Underpinnings of Logotherapy. This chapter explores the philosophical roots of logotherapy, drawing on thinkers like Nietzsche and Heidegger. Frankl argues that his therapy is grounded in a deep understanding of the human condition and our inherent drive for meaning. The core concept is that logotherapy offers a holistic view of humanity, acknowledging our freedom, responsibility, and capacity for self-transcendence. The key examples are the philosophical concepts that inform Frankl's approach, such as existentialism and phenomenology. The actionable advice, though more theoretical, is about understanding the profound philosophical questions that drive our search for meaning and how logotherapy provides a framework for addressing them. Chapter 18: Logotherapy and Depression. Frankl discusses how logotherapy can be effectively used to treat depression. He posits that depression is often rooted in a lack of meaning and that by helping patients discover their purpose, their symptoms can be alleviated. The core concept is that depression can be viewed as a manifestation of an existential vacuum. The key examples are patients who have found relief from their depressive states by identifying and pursuing meaningful goals. The actionable advice is that for those struggling with depression, exploring and actively pursuing a sense of purpose is a crucial part of the healing process. Chapter 19: Logotherapy and Addiction. This chapter explores the application of logotherapy to addiction. Frankl suggests that addiction can be a way for individuals to escape the pain of an unfulfilling life. The core concept is that addiction often stems from a desperate attempt to fill an existential void. The key examples are individuals who, once they find a meaningful purpose, are able to overcome their addictive behaviors. The actionable advice is that addressing the root cause of addiction, the lack of meaning, is essential for lasting recovery. Finding a purpose can provide a healthier and more sustainable way to cope with life's challenges. Chapter 20: Logotherapy and Anxiety. Frankl explains how logotherapy can help individuals manage anxiety. He believes that many anxieties are a result of overcontemplation and overeffort, leading to a paralysis of the will to meaning. The core concept is that excessive focus on achieving a specific outcome can create anxiety and hinder its attainment. The key examples are situations where people become so anxious about performing a task perfectly that they become unable to do it at all. The actionable advice is to shift focus from the anxious anticipation of outcomes to the active pursuit of meaning, trusting in the process, and allowing for a more natural unfolding of events. Chapter 21: The Tragic Triad. In this chapter, Frankl discusses the tragic triad of human existence, suffering, guilt, and death. He argues that rather than avoiding these realities, we must confront them and find meaning within them. The core concept is that these unavoidable aspects of life, when met with the right attitude, can become sources of growth and meaning. The key examples are the way individuals can find meaning in enduring suffering, taking responsibility for their actions, and facing their mortality with courage. The actionable advice is to embrace these fundamental truths of life, to see them not as obstacles, but as integral parts of the human experience that can lead to profound personal development. Chapter 22: The Future of Man. Frankl concludes with a hopeful outlook on the future of humanity, emphasizing the enduring capacity of humans to find meaning. He reiterates the importance of logotherapy in helping individuals navigate the complexities of modern life. The core concept is that despite the challenges, the human spirit's quest for meaning will persist. The key examples are the potential for human beings to transcend their limitations and to create a more meaningful existence for themselves and for society. The actionable advice is to recognize our inherent capacity for meaning-making, to actively pursue it in our own lives, and to contribute to a world where the search for meaning is valued and supported. Man's Search for Meaning is not just a book, it's an invitation to look within, to discover our inner strength, and to embrace the profound responsibility and privilege of creating meaning in our lives, no matter the circumstances. Frankl's message is a powerful reminder that even in the face of immense suffering, the human spirit can find purpose, resilience, and ultimately, hope. Thank you for watching. If you found this summary helpful, please like this video, subscribe to Visual Books for more summaries, and share it with someone who would benefit.